Live.
And here we are. Hi, everyone. I'm Kai Ashley. I am the spiritual guide and healer of the healers. And today we have the fabulous Kate Jaramillo of Ketogenic Living 101, who, by the way, is just about to come out with a fabulous new ketogenic cookbook. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yay! So thank you so much for joining us here today. And for everyone tuning in, just so you know, we can't actually see the comments because we're going through Zoom, but we will read them at the end. So please put in any highlights, anything that comes up for you, we would love to hear. So, Kate, would you please tell us a little bit about your journey of how you've triumphed over adversity? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with your audience today. So, I think that we all have these like defining moments of our lives, and some of them are incredibly positive, like times when our children are born, or we have this incredible job opportunity, take an amazing trip, just life-changing things. And then other times, we have these moments that change us because it was so hard to get through. And one of these moments for me is actually my divorce. And this cascaded into so many wonderful things. But during this time, and I have to tell you, I was married for like months, not like a very long, period of time. And there were no children involved and things like that. Like months. Like I thought my parents were going to kill me because their check barely even dried off of this big expensive wedding that I had. But the thing is this, I was in this relationship with someone who was an amazing human being. And I do remember at a point in our relationship, I remember the feeling of falling in love with him. And you know how that feels. And it's like giddy and amazing and happy. But, I was in my 20s and I was just thinking that, okay, this is like what life should be like now. I should find this guy and, we should be friends first. And then, we should get married and settle down and have kids and all the things. And again, amazing person, but not my person. And to be honest, like I knew the time, like when he even proposed to me, which is in this like amazing way. You know how you have that gut feeling? I had this gut feeling of not like, oh my God, the love of my life is proposing to me. I had this like punch in the gut, say no, girl. But I wanted to get married. Like I wanted to have a wedding. So, of course I said yes. And also I actually had the wedding band booked before we even got engaged because I knew it was coming. So like I really wanted a wedding, not like a marriage. And even, that day, that morning of my wedding, waking up and just feeling like, I don't think that this is right. But, in the movies, people call it off, as they're walking down the altar or walking down the aisle and everything. I don't really think that that's super accurate. When you're there, and you're like walking and people are like, that doesn't really happen. You're like going through with it.
Yeah.
And so I did. And I just knew like right away that this was not what I wanted. It was not going to work. And there were a lot of other pieces of the puzzle with finances and just feeling like I was like this person's mom instead of being his wife. But the fact of the matter is, all of those things, I think I could have looked past if I was truly in love with this man. Yeah. And I just wasn't. And I am now married and I've been with my husband for 10 years and we have 4 amazing kids. But, I reconnected with my now husband before I was divorced from my current husband. So I was living this like weird double life. And it wasn't necessarily even a double life because, everybody kind of knew what was going on except for, the person I was married to. And I really was like, I know that this isn't right. I know that I just can't be in this situation. It's tearing me up. And I was consulting with some other really close friends of mine. And I remember them saying to me, like several of them said something along the same lines of, well, like whatever you do, don't get divorced. Because if you get divorced, your married friends are never going to be able to relate to you because you've been divorced. and your single friends will never relate to you either, because, you know, you've already been married.
That's a mindset.
Right? Right? And I was just like, I was mulling over this and mulling over this. And finally, I just woke up and I was like, you know what? Like, I believe that this is the only chance at life I'm going to get. And so I am not going to waste any more time being miserable, living a lie, being unhappy. Like, I'm just not willing to do this anymore. And so, you know, I delivered this horrible news, which anybody who's listening who is a people pleaser, you know how like soul crushing it is
Yeah.
to deliver bad news and to hurt other people. It was like the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And, you know, lost him as a friend, obviously.
Yeah.
I had lost, you know, other friends at this time. They all kind of came back, but I just remember like, I was like, but I'm doing this for me. And I moved out of this house and I got my own apartment. It was very fast. You know, I was officially dating, you know, my now husband. So that was going on. Um, and I felt bad for, you know, my husband that we were getting this divorce and I had broke his heart and everything. But I tell you, I never felt stronger and more confident in myself,
Mm-hmm.
in my ability to like just be decisive and make a decision that was the best for me. I mean, my family did not understand. A lot of my friends didn't understand. It was just this really isolating and hard experience that I was just like so proud of myself for just saying like, I don't need anyone else right now because I can do this. And as hard as that situation was, it really did teach me that I can do hard things.
Yeah.
And now, as a business owner and as a mom, as a wife, as a human, I'm faced with really hard decisions and hard things all the time. And you know what? I channel how I felt, you know, 10 plus years ago when this situation happened as a reminder that I can get through hard things and that life is even better once I can move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find that even with hard decisions like that, we want to please people, but it ends up being
Mhm.
best for everyone, even though it's like
Absolutely.
really painful in the moment. You know, it's always best for everyone when we follow what feels right for us.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I hope that like he's well and found true love and all the things, but that's not really my business,
Yeah.
to be honest. But I do know that it was best for everyone to release him. And, you know, obviously my life took a completely different turn. And, you know, that's another thing. Like I found myself after this, you know, a year and some change later, with when my husband and I were in a long distance relationship. He was in Florida, I'm in Pennsylvania, I was in Pennsylvania, and we were doing this long distance thing. And during that time, I got pregnant with my first child. So here now I am divorced, unwed, pregnant, in a long distance relationship, and just kind of figuring out like, what am I going to do now? You know, what's the next step? And I actually fully intended on going back to work after my daughter was born, spending like the last 6 weeks of my maternity leave in Florida, you know, with my husband, and then coming back up, going back to work because I loved my job, putting my daughter in daycare, and just praying that, you know, Mario would be able to get a job up in Philadelphia and move, and that we would make it. But it was like 3 weeks out from my maternity leave, and I got an email from my boss that was like, hey, like, you know, your maternity leave is up in 3 weeks. We just wanted to make sure everything's okay and you're going to be ready to come back. And I got that email and I was sitting there with like holding my little baby in my arms. And I was like, oh my God, I can't leave you. Like just a total realization, like oh my gosh, like I actually can't do this. So, you know, I decided to not go back to work, to move to Florida, which was totally unexpected because all of my friends and family, everybody in my life was up there. But to move to Florida, to not go back to work, and to be a stay-at-home mom, which I never, ever thought I would do. But that was kind of one of those life-changing moments as well. Just like deciding to take a year, and I say this lightly because anybody who's a mom knows that like taking a year off to stay home with your child is not taking a year off. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just taking a year to like work on something else 100%. But that experience too kicked me into having my own business and becoming an online entrepreneur. And now, here we are 8 years later, and I've been working in the online space, and I've had my own business, and I've been filing, my own tax returns for that long. So all of these things just happened in this like perfect timing to get me to where I am now. And again, I have to always go back to where that kind of started as a reminder that I can do hard things, I can get through them. And there is a reason that it's happening now, because as dark as this is, something so much brighter awaits.
Yeah. And that's what I love about when I hear how you got that email while you were holding your baby in your arms. To me, that reminds me of when you got the proposal. Yeah. And I imagine that you probably like felt a similar feeling. And because you had the proposal experience where you said yes anyway, there's no way like in the world that you would have been able to say yes to that email after the previous experience where you said yes when you knew in your heart you weren't meant to.
That's so insightful. Like I never even considered that, but you're right. Like having that, I definitely know having that feeling, that like punch in the gut, like, no, girl, no, is one that I can recognize now. Because I did have that same feeling when I got the email.
I love that so much. So would you share some tips for our viewers who perhaps are going through a divorce or something in their life where they're feeling judged by family and they've got all this noise coming in telling them what to do? How would you help people discern what their own inner truth is?
The people that are in your life, they love you and they want what's best for you. But truthfully, no one knows what's best for you better than you. I think that this is the most important time of your life to really trust yourself, to really spend time in your own mind and in your own heart and your own thoughts. Spend time journaling if that's what works for you, or tapping or meditating or in prayer, but spend that silent time with yourself and just getting to know yourself again. I think that when we get into relationships or we let others project their own thoughts and feelings on us, we do start to question ourselves and we do lose that sense of our own identity. And I think the best way to reconnect is to spend alone time. And I know that that's scary sometimes, especially if we've been in relationships for long periods of time. We're not used to being alone. But I think that that alone time is really what we need. We recommit to ourselves. We get to know ourselves again. And then we get to know our own values that we, again, sometimes lose along the way. And I hope that you can draw inspiration from this, that this experience can make you stronger, and one that you can look back on and be like, yeah, I can get through hard things and I can come out better. And now I know myself better than anyone else in the world. I didn't let outside influences influence a decision that would have made me unhappy in the long run. And I get to live my life on my terms. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. One thing that's coming to me that I think might be helpful is, from what you said, with how you grew your business because you got to take the year to look after your little one and you had that big move to Florida. What about for people in a similar situation who are trying to grow their business but still feel like a little bit overwhelmed, maybe by being a new mom or whatever their situation is? How would you help them really focus to build something like you have?
Oh, absolutely. Grace is a huge one. I mean, I obviously giving yourself grace, like not every single thing will get done. And as entrepreneurs, we will always have a to-do list. It truly is. It truly is never ending. And when you're just starting out, being able to delegate a lot of things off your plate, it just, it's not really in the budget. And I totally get that too. I want you to just remember that. I want you to really get excited about who you can serve and how you can serve them, and just talk about that all the time. It doesn't matter if you are starting a business that's in like a noisy environment. I mean, like we as coaches, live in a noisy world. There's a lot of coaches out there, and that's great. I don't think that the market is oversaturated because no one has your background. No one can be youer than you. I think it's just really important to constantly share your truth, be authentic, but also let people know that you are open for business. You are available for hire. That's a mistake that I feel like a lot of people make. They're not consistent in showing up, but they're also not consistent in having like any sort of call to action. And we come from this place like, well, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to come off as annoying. Let me tell you something. It's easy to mute and unfollow people. And people might do that. And that's okay, because they were never going to buy from you anyway. And
exactly,
it's totally fine. You bless and release them. But for the sake of you, your life, your business, your loved ones, and all of the clients that you can help in the world, you owe it to everyone here in that space to just show up every single day, being yourself and making sure that you let your audience and your followers know that you are available for them to hire you and work with and transform their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be so easy to want to hide or like get upset if you get unsubscribes on your email list. But every time I get unsubscribes, I actually make it and like, I genuinely celebrate. I'm like, yes, that means that I've polarized people. I don't go out to like trigger people on purpose, but I speak my truth. I give my opinions. I try to give my honest opinions that I do in my own private time. And then if people don't like it, then I know that there are equal amount of people on the opposite side who resonated with me even more.
Oh my gosh, 1000%. And I know it can be really hard to just constantly kind of show up and share your truth, especially when you might have, other friends or family members that are connected with you on social media that you may not want them to know about. I totally get that. And that's where maybe like some free, like closed groups may be beneficial to you. I mean, I really value being in closed communities. I love, my own community because I can just be myself in there all the time. I don't have to worry about like my mom, like tuning in and just being like, well, I didn't know that about you, or, something like that I don't want her to know.
Yeah.
But I think that these like free communities, or not free, or, whatever communities that we're able to create, they are as much for us as they are for like our soulmate clients and tribe members.
I love that. What's the name of your group?
So my group is the Ketogenic Living Certified Coaches. So everyone that's been through the Ketogenic Living Coach certification, they're added to that private group. And I'm in there every single day, talking to them, loving on them, just sharing random things. And I just love it. Like that group is, and you know what? It's so, everyone that's inside of that group, if you ever ask a ketogenic living certified coach, like what their favorite part of being certified is, they all say the community. And so I know that like, I'm like doing something right,
I love
like
that.
they love that. And it's a safe space for them. I'm making it safe because I'm like showing up and being my real raw self, and same with them.
And I think that's a really good thing for people who, I know a lot of people, especially getting into the coaching or the entrepreneur field, they feel very isolated, but there really are pockets of people all over the world in groups, also meetup groups in some places in person. But for me, it's always about seeking out those like-minded people and really like reaching out to people and actually making connections.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. It is isolating being in kind of the online entrepreneurial space, or just being in the online space, like working from home. It's amazing. It's such a luxury that I'm so grateful and blessed to have, but it is isolating. It truly is. I mean, like if we didn't have these communities that we build online, offline, all over, we would just be, it's like us in a computer screen all day.
Well, that's what I love about one of the ways that I can instantly get into gratitude is by thanking all my devices. Like I'm literally surrounded in devices right now. I have a phone here, a phone there, a laptop there, iPad over there. And I just absolutely love how like they're a gateway to the world. Like I've got everybody in the world through my devices. So it's very easy to like, for some people it might not be easy, but at the same time, if you just make that little bit of effort and join safe communities, then it can become easy.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And if you join a community that like you're not really feeling, or, you know, you get that, like, people are kind of jumping and attacking, just leave.
Just leave. Yep.
Just go.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See ya. Bye, Felicia. Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't know why this is coming to me, but it's the same as with your Facebook feed. You really want to like design your Facebook feed like you design your life, and hide every single post that you don't absolutely love. I hear so many people saying that their Facebook feed is so negative, and I'm like, but you have the power to cut everything out that doesn't serve you. And I think the way you do one thing is sort of like the way you do everything. So maybe it's a good example to actually be very selective, not just on Facebook, but in your life with who you give your time to. I think especially when growing a business.
Oh, I totally agree. And the idea of creating before you're consuming, you know, if you can recognize things that are going to move yourself and your business forward every single day, knock those out first. Like, I know for me, like, creating my content and messaging people or tying my message into my content, like, that's something that has to happen every single day without fail. And I need to do that before I start scrolling, which I try not to do very often. You know, sometimes I do it when I'm like nursing my baby. I'll just like I'm like scrolling, but you get sucked in. It is a black hole. And like, if I were consuming all of this content before I was like creating, that would be in the back of my mind instead of like all the things that I actually wanted to get out that were on my heart or in my mind. The brain dumping thing is also another thing that's really important to me. You know, everybody kind of journals in a different way if they journal. And I like journaling prompts, but honestly, the best thing I can do for myself is to just get all the stuff that's constantly happening in my head out on paper with my mechanical pencil and my paper, and just write it all out. And sometimes they're amazing ideas. And sometimes I'm like, like, what? Did you eat before you went to bed and you're having some crazy dreams? But yeah.
I love that. So I feel called to ask you, since you're talking about content and creating before consuming, would you give people a little bit of an insight into how you create your content and how people can become, for lack of a better word, I'm hearing like a content machine?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it truly, for me, it starts with the wake up brain dump thing, because like I go to sleep thinking of things, and I really am not going to jump out of bed and write stuff down unless it is something completely profound that I believe I might forget. It doesn't happen very often. But usually when I wake up, what I end up starting to do is like, I'm writing out all the things that I have to do for the day, which are endless. But then as I'm writing things out, those tasks inspire me. I'm like, oh, I should write about this, or I should talk to my, my audience about this. Yesterday, I snapped a picture of my son and I, he turned 11 months old today. And I was like, oh, this is like, our last day of a 10-month-old. And I put it up on my LinkedIn with like, hey, like, people, work at home moms, like, do you struggle sometimes to get all the stuff done? Me too. And this is what I do. And this is my way around it. It still doesn't get done sometimes, but I'm getting the most important things out of the way. So at the end of the day, I can be happy with myself. But that's how I get content, is I'm literally writing out things that I need to do. And then ideas start flowing to me and I write them out. And then I just kind of pick one that I feel really called to share. And that's what I share. And then I repurpose it across all my social media.
Yeah. And I think I like the concept that it just gets to be that easy. It doesn't have to be this big complicated thing. It's like, if an idea pops into your head, you're inspired by something, just get it out and share it.
Yep, exactly. And I have like a stack of probably like 6 or 7 notebooks that are all half written in, with, again, that same thing, like ideas and brain dumps and things like that. It's like a library. Maybe somebody will curate it one day for me.
I've got so many journals. It's just ridiculous. I have had to, I've thrown some of my earlier ones away. And I think just for the purpose of decluttering, I've scanned some pages. I've got like this really cool little scanner app on my iPad.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's actually a really good one. I'll send it to you. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm going to have to like get rid of them because I've got like so many. And I've got a whole box of brand new journals too. Like, I just buy journals.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the best gift for me. And I'm like, yes, Marie Kondo, they all spark joy. So I'm going to keep them all.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I love opening my box and go, oh, I've got all these ones coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
So, Kate, thank you so much for joining us today. I would love, would you tell us a little bit about your free gift that you have for everyone? And I'm going to drop the link in the comments while you talk.
Oh, for sure. So first, thank you so much for having me. Love these conversations. And I've loved this series too. So the gift that I have for everyone today is a mini ebook on becoming an expert in your local community. So we've been chatting about ways to grow your business and to get out of behind the screen. So my values are delivering value and creating connections. Like my goal in my life is like being able to create best friend moments with everyone that I come into contact with. And so becoming an expert in your local community are ways for you to leverage your uniqueness, your expertise, and connect with people locally to grow your business, to increase your connections, and to just increase your fulfillment and build your business.
I love that. So you can get that. That's in the comments right now. Okay, so yeah, look in the comments or the description for that. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, please like, and I'd love, would you please put in the comments, what has been your biggest highlight or takeaway? Or if you have any questions for Kate or myself, feel free to ask. Yeah.
Yay, awesome.
Yay. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye.